Gerry Brownlee is the 32nd Speaker of the New Zealand House of Representatives. In that role, he earns a public salary of $320,600 a year. He owns 6 properties. He was even offered a rent-free apartment directly inside Parliament, but he turned it down, stating on the record that it wasn't comfortable enough. Instead of taking the free apartment, he went back to his own townhouse in Condola, and to sleep in that home, he bills the taxpayer. This flowchart shows his base salary combining with an extra $52,000 tax-free housing allowance every single year. Since 2020, he has claimed $237,000. And if you follow the money to the property title itself, you'll find a zero mortgage. He owns the home outright. He hasn't broken any laws. He hasn't exploited a hidden loophole. The parliamentary rules calculate payments based on market rent, ignoring what an MP actually pays. The people who write the rules wrote them exactly this way, deliberately ensuring a mortgage-free owner gets the same payout as someone paying actual rent. When the architecture of a system legally rewards the wealthiest people in the room at the public's expense, judging that system by its own internal rules is a dead end. We need an entirely different standard to measure what's actually happening in Wellington. Western bureaucratic metrics will tell you the Speaker's accommodation claim is compliant. To get an accurate read on the moral reality of this extraction, we have to audit Parliament using the foundational ethics of Aotearoa, tikanga. We will evaluate this conduct against 3 specific Indigenous principles: pono, the absolute necessity for truth; manakitanga, the ethic of community care; and kaitiakitanga, the responsibility of guardianship. This is an ethical reckoning of political leadership. Let's see how the man with the gavel measures up. We start with pono. In Tikanga Maori, truth and integrity are not soft values. They are the strict requirements for anyone holding legitimate authority. You cannot govern others if you are dishonest about yourself. An independent investigation revealed that Gerry Brownlee filed incorrect and incomplete declarations regarding his property ownership to Parliament for 2 entire decades. He failed to accurately disclose his 6 properties, 3 of which are active rentals. During those 20 years of inaccurate disclosure, coalition MPs were actively rewriting the rules of the housing market. They voted to restore interest deductibility, handing a $2.9 billion tax benefit directly to landlords. Brownlee sat in the middle of these decisions, while his own massive conflict of interest remained hidden from the public record. When journalists finally exposed the discrepancy in February 2026, he simply corrected the register. No investigation, no sanctions, no penalty whatsoever. A lawmaker can underdeclare a property empire for 20 years and face 0 pushback. Pono does not exist in this system. Next is manakitanga. This is the ethic of care. A true leader ensures no one in their community sleeps cold while they sleep warm. Hoarding resources while people go without strips a leader of their mana. This split-screen chart illustrates the exact disparity at play. On the left, you see the Speaker claiming a steady $1,000 a week, tax-free, to stay in a home he already owns. On the right, the counter tracks the 112,000 whānau across Aotearoa who have absolutely nowhere to live tonight.
The contrast gets sharper. Under Budget 2026, the government announced that families living in emergency housing will have their income-related rent contribution raised from 25% to 30%. The poorest New Zealanders are being forced to pay more, while the Speaker's subsidized income stream remains entirely untouched. At the exact same time, the government slashed $40 million from Maori housing providers, cutting off the vital navigation services that help people survive the crisis. Instead of support, vulnerable tenants get surveillance and fines. The poor are interrogated and punished for needing a roof, while the powerful are handed $250,000 to sleep in their own beds. Finally, kaitiakitanga. True guardianship means you hold power for the benefit of the people, never as a tool to control them or shield yourself. When reporters from the Post started uncovering MPs claiming massive allowances on their Wellington properties, Brownlee used his authority as Speaker to threaten the journalists. He accused them of running a political campaign and threatened to ban them from Parliament. Days later, those same reporters revealed Brownlee himself was the biggest beneficiary of the very rort he was trying to hide. Compare that defensive posture to how he treats Indigenous expression. When Te Pāti Māori MP Orini Kaipara delivered her maiden speech, the gallery erupted into a spontaneous haka totoko. Brownlee immediately walked out, suspended Parliament, and launched a crackdown. He called the haka contemptuous, explicitly claiming it violated, quote, our tikanga. He weaponizes the language of tikanga to silence Māori voices in the House, and then discards every ethical obligation of that exact same culture the moment his own property portfolio is on the line. Gerry Brownlee did not invent this behavior. He is participating in a long, verified whakapapa, a continuous genealogy of political self-enrichment. Go back to 2009. Bill English claimed $900 a week in housing allowances while his family lived in their own Wellington home. When the press exposed it, he repaid the money, faced 0 sanctions, and eventually became Prime Minister. Move forward to 2024. Current Prime Minister Christopher Luxon claimed a $52,000 allowance for his own Wellington apartment. Today, a whole cohort of MPs are actively claiming over $2.5 million in public money for properties they personally own. It is a closed loop. They vote for pro-landlord policies, buy investment properties in the capital, and then use your tax dollars to pay off the mortgages. Tikanga has a precise term for a leader who hoards community resources, lies about their holdings, and crushes dissent to protect their own wealth. He tangata koratake. A person without substance, a hollow authority. We need systemic reform immediately. That means strictly means-tested accommodation allowances based on actual costs, and independent retrospective audits for all MP financial disclosures. The self-reporting era has to end. Crown structures will never willingly provide this kind of accountability. We have to build it ourselves. Subscribe to the Māori Green Lantern to fund independent journalism that refuses to look away. Because at the end of the day, what matters most is people, not parliamentary property portfolios.